They trade our stocks, they pick our music, and now they're even starting to diagnose our illnesses. They are this invisible force that's shaping almost every single part of our modern world. But this takeover, it didn't just happen overnight. So let's dive in and see exactly how a simple set of instructions became the new masters of our universe.
So it all kicks off with this really weird story. Back in 2011, a biologist named Michael Eisen goes on Amazon to buy a copy of an academic book, something called The Making of a Fly. Now he's used to paying, around $40 for it. But on this particular day, he found two sellers with a, well, let's just say a slightly higher price.
You are seeing that right. For a hot second, this book cost nearly $24 million. And this wasn't a joke or some typo. Nope, it was the result of two competing, totally unsupervised pricing algorithms that got stuck in a crazy feedback loop. Each one was programmed to price its book just a little tiny bit higher than the other, and they just spiraled up and up and up until a human finally pulled the plug. It's a funny story for sure, but a year earlier, something way more dramatic happened.
On May 6, 2010, in the span of just 5 minutes, 300 seconds, the stock market went into an absolute freefall. The Dow Jones dropped nearly 1,000 points. That was its biggest single-day drop in history. $1 trillion of wealth just, poof, evaporated. The market was in total chaos, and absolutely nobody knew why.
That's what CNBC's Jim Cramer was yelling on live TV, watching billion-dollar companies become worthless in a matter of seconds, only to magically bounce back minutes later. And you know what? He was right. The machine did break. A non-human force was at the controls, and it had totally lost its grip. So, who was the culprit behind the multi-million-dollar book and the trillion-dollar crash?
Well, the culprit is the algorithm. It's a word we hear thrown around all the time, right? But what does it actually mean? Well, at its core, it's a surprisingly simple concept.
Okay, so that's the classic definition. Really, an algorithm is just a set of rules. It's a recipe. You give it some information, it follows the steps, and it spits out an answer.
Think about how you choose a jacket in the morning. You do this every day. You take in inputs, like the temperature. Is it raining? Is it windy? And your brain runs a simple little algorithm. If it's 25 degrees out and snowing, the output is pretty clear. Wear the heavy parka. See? Simple. But the algorithms running our world today, well, they've evolved. A lot.
We've moved way beyond simple decision trees to what we can really call bots. And these are complex webs of algorithms that can actually learn and improve all on their own. They're processing thousands of inputs, analyzing the results, and then refining their own code over time. And the very first industry to be completely conquered by them? You guessed it, Wall Street.
So let's take a look at how this all got started. This is really where the algorithmic revolution began, all with one programmer who saw a system that was just ripe for disruption.
Okay, get this. In 1987, a programmer named Thomas Peterffy did something that was just revolutionary. He physically hacked a NASDAQ terminal, feeding its data directly into his own computer. His algorithm could then analyze the market and make trades faster and more accurately than any human trader on the floor could even blink. It was the world's first fully automated trading system, and it basically marked the beginning of the end for human-dominated finance.
And that quote right there really captures the essence of the whole revolution Peterffy started. What began as just a way to get a tiny edge in the financial markets, well, it was about to spread like wildfire to pretty much every other industry.
So, once the quants and the programmers conquered the logical world of Wall Street, they started pushing their bots into places that were more complex, more nuanced, and, more human.
First up, a field you'd think was totally safe from automation: medicine. I mean, we trust doctors for their human intuition, their years of expertise. But what if a bot could actually be a crucial partner in that process?
Okay, so this is the crucial part right here. In studies of Pap tests, the ones used to detect cervical cancer, a human pathologist working alone caught about 79% of cancer cases. But when that very same pathologist was helped by an algorithm, boom, the accuracy jumped to 86%. These bots are already becoming indispensable tools for saving lives. For medicine, the bots made another huge leap into the world of pure creativity.
So, could an algorithm be an artist? The answer might actually surprise you. Algorithms are now invading one of the most uniquely human domains we have: writing music.
So, a researcher named David Cope created an algorithm called Emmy. And what Emmy does is it studies a composer's work, say Bach, and then writes totally original music in that same style.
And its bot compositions are so convincing that when you tell listeners a computer wrote a piece, they suddenly start finding flaws in it. But when they don't know who or what the composer is, they're deeply moved by it. And the newer bots? They're using machine learning to write their own rules for composition, completely from scratch.
And the innovation doesn't stop with the creative arts. Even high-paying, white-collar jobs like being a lawyer are being totally transformed. You know, one of the most expensive parts of any big lawsuit is the discovery process, just sifting through millions of documents for any relevant evidence.
Well, an algorithm can now do the work of a whole army of junior lawyers, but it's faster, it's more accurate, and it's for a tiny fraction of the cost. A $5 million job now costs $100,000. I mean, that is a complete game changer. And it brings us to the big question: what does all of this mean for us?
Because this isn't just about Wall Street traders or lawyers anymore. This algorithmic revolution is coming for a huge range of jobs that we once thought were totally safe.
Just look at this list. These are not just manual labor jobs. We're talking about doctors, reporters, security analysts, and yeah, even truck drivers, as self-driving tech gets better and better. These are skilled professions that are being fundamentally changed, and in some cases, completely automated away.
That is the stark conclusion from 2 MIT economists who have studied this exact trend. And what they found was that since the 2009 recession, corporations have spent 26% more on technology and software, but they haven't raised their payrolls at all. The bots are getting the jobs.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. The world is being rebuilt with code, and the most important skill you can have is the ability to create, to maintain, and to understand these powerful new tools. The algorithms are here, and they're not going anywhere. So the only question is, where do you fit in?